Ever played the Tetris game on Tetris.com? Well, what if I told you there's an entire community who strives to push the game to its limits? I mean, have you ever seen anyone score almost 4 million points on the game? Oh, that isn't all. This game's got different modes, and they can be painful. Along with the normal mode, Tetris.com also has a Mindbender mode, which is just the normal mode with some quirks like flipping your stack around or splitting your blocks apart. Then there's also E60, which is a classic Tetris game with the aesthetics of the original Electronica 60 version. It uses some modern features, most notably the T-spin. And finally, there's N-Blox, another classic style game with very limited mechanics like only 10 speed levels and no T-spin bonuses. The world record scores for those modes are equally as impressive, so why not take a look at how they were achieved and start with the normal mode, with its world record standing at a massive 3.97 million points. The person who holds this record is a small, modest player who goes by GRBT Ace. Since February 2023, Ace has consistently set back-to-back world records on the normal mode of Tetris.com. He started this hot streak by getting 3.32 million points in mid-February 2023, surpassing the previous world record holder, Dagumung, by over 10,000 points. Over the next 2 years, Ace would steadily improve his world record on that game mode, and now sits at an impressive 3.97 million points, all thanks to the mighty power of all clears. See, a typical line clear, like a single, double, or triple, gets you 100, 300, and 500 points respectively, whereas a Tetris line clear gives you 800. A T-spin, where you rotate a T-tetramino into a semi-covered hole resembling its shape, gives you 400 points if it doesn't clear a line, 800 if it clears one line, which is a T-spin single, 1200 if it clears two, which is a T-spin double, and 1600 if it clears three, which is a T-spin triple. You can also do a mini T-spin like so, which will give you 100 points if it doesn't clear a line, and 200 points if it does, which is a mini T-spin single. Consecutive Tetris and or T-spin line clears, which I've marked in yellow, reward you with a 50% larger bonus when doing that line clear, which is called a back-to-back. And finally, we have all clears, where you eradicate every block off the board. Doing a single all clear gives you 900 points, a double all clear gives 1500, a triple all clear gives 2300, and a Tetris all clear gives 2800, or 4400 if it's a back-to-back Tetris. Knowing this, we can deduce that T-spin line clears and all clears are the most valuable in terms of score per line, so getting exceptionally high scores heavily depends on them. Now, you may be wondering, how do you farm all clears and T-spins to win big? Well, the answer is a 14-line looping strategy containing a variety of all clear setups. There's too many of them to fit in a short time, so I'll go over the most common ones. We'll first cover the two 8-line all-clear setups, starting with the SDPC. It starts with this awkward-looking T-spin single setup, where after doing the T-spin, a T-spin double is set up like so, and then the remaining tetraminos dealt are used to get it all-clear. Alternatively, there's also the Satsuki setup. It's made by stacking for a T-spin triple like this, then stacking for an all-clear with whatever pieces you get. I say this because the line clear that results in the all-clear can be influenced by the piece sequence. Sometimes it can be a double all-clear, or a triple all-clear, or if you're lucky, a Tetris all-clear. Despite how the game's 7-bag randomizer guarantees that you get one of each tetramino within a set of 7, it doesn't guarantee you'll get a certain sequence of pieces within the set of 7, which can force you into taking smaller all-clears, maybe even no all-clear at all if you're really unlucky. After completing our 8-line all-clear setup, it's time to build a 6-line all-clear setup. This usually takes the form of a unique T-spin double setup, followed by a Tetris all-clear. To correspond with the types of line clears involved, this is called a double perfect clear, or DPC, and there are many ways to make it. What you're seeing above is a Kuruma DPC, though there are other setups such as the 04, Sled, Butter, and more. While DPC setups are easier to cash in on Tetris all-clears, once again, they're not guaranteed. As shown above, Ace ends this DPC with a triple all-clear due to receiving tetraminos that don't accommodate a Tetris all-clear. But anyways, once the 8-line and 6-line all-clear setups are done, we've completed an all-clear loop. You could continue all-clear looping until hitting a game over if you wanted to, but there is one major factor to consider. Tetramino drop speed. At levels 14 and beyond, a Tetramino's drop speed exceeds 90 rows per second, and it's so fast it looks like it's impossible to get the O Tetramino into the 2-block wide gap on the right in this instance, right? Wrong. You can actually drag your mouse to move Tetraminos around along with your keyboard, which allows you to move Tetraminos into normally unreachable spots like this. That's right, you can make Tetraminos go up with your mouse, making all-clear looping past level 14 a tad bit easier to do, and basically what makes all-clear looping past level 14 possible in the first place. Ace uses this to his advantage and cashes in on as much all-clear points as possible until he approaches the end of level 24, with an incredible score of over 2.63 million. At that point, he switches to a more uniform stacking method known as ST stacking, as it is more consistent and less luck-based than all-clear looping. In essence, ST stacking usually involves vertical Z Tetraminos placed on the far right and dumping 3x3 block clumps in the center of the board with the bottom right block missing. They typically consist of S and L Tetraminos, but they can also be made with a Z and J, L and O, or J and O. These are then used to make repeated T-spin doubles and Tetris line clears. This is a rather short summary of how ST stacking works, so if you want more details, check out the ST stacking guide by Supershocky, which will be linked in the top right corner. Ace uses ST stacking in the last 60 plus lines of his world record game, opting to avoid Tetris line clears in levels 29 and 30 in favor of T-spin doubles, as they are 3 times more valuable in terms of score per line. After clearing 300 lines, Ace completes the game, and there it is, 3.97 million points. Incredible, isn't it? To summarize, GRBT Ace aims for as much all clears as possible for the majority of the game to bank as much points as possible in the early game, and switches to ST stacking in the last 20% of the run for better consistency and reduced risk of major errors. He also uses a mouse to move Tetraminos to otherwise unreachable places at high levels, and avoids Tetris line clears in the last 2 levels to maximize score efficiency. Alright, now it's time for Mindbender. Mindbender is a variant of the normal mode with occasional question mark blocks that influence your gameplay, for better or worse. The question mark blocks also increases a Mindbender multiplier, which maxes out at 10. Unlike normal mode, Mindbender's line clear and T-spin bonuses are not multiplied by the level number, and are only multiplied by the Mindbender multiplier. Because of this, the world record for this mode currently stands at 1.8 million points by Ponix, which is about half of the normal mode world record. Ponix is a super talented freestylist in the Tetris.com community. Notable achievements of theirs include the first ever 3.0 million point run with freestyle, receiving the X rank in Tetrio, and of course, holding the current world record for Tetris Mindbender. Unfortunately, Ponix does not have any publicly available footage of their Mindbender world record, so I'll just have to use my own gameplay to describe how top-level Mindbender gameplay is generally like. Generally, top-level Mindbender gameplay starts off with 5 lines of back-to-back T-spins. After clearing 5 lines, the first question mark block appears. Because the game ends after clearing 300 lines, it's important to clear the question mark block with as few lines as possible, so that you get the maximum multiplier value as early as possible, and spend as long as you can with the maximum multiplier value. For example, I've done a regular old single, but if you could do a T-spin single, that'd be better because you get 8 to 12 times more points. Once the first question mark block is cleared, it's time to begin stalling. Yes, stalling, because rather than appearing after a certain number of lines are cleared, question mark blocks appear every 15 seconds, so it's important to use as few Tetraminos and clear as few lines as possible while waiting for the next question mark block to maximize scoring potential within the 300 line limit. A common way to do this is to let the active Tetramino automatically drop, rather than manually hard or soft dropping it, and rotating it repeatedly when it lands on a surface if necessary.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Once 15 seconds have passed, clear the next question mark block as fast as possible, or your multiplier will decrease if the block is uncleared for 30 seconds since its appearance. Repeat this process until you hit a 10 times multiplier. After hitting the maximum multiplier value of 10, return to playing at your normal speed as there is no point in stalling beyond this point. Given how drastic some of the effects are, like turn, shift, and fusion, Systematic stacking setups like ST stacking or T-spin triple looping can get screwed up very easily, so the easy way to work around this is to just freestyle your way through the game, setting up T-spins in no particular pattern, prepared for any outcome. If at any point a question mark appears and it's way out of reach, don't worry about it too much and just play normally until you clear it or your multiplier value reduces to 9. If the latter happens, only then will you have to clear the question mark block as efficiently as possible, as letting the multiplier value reduce further will also hurt your efficiency even further. And that's pretty much it. I managed to get about 1.68 million points with those strategies, which is the third highest in the world, and actually isn't far off from the world record of 1.8 million. Perhaps I could steal Ponix's world record soon? Who knows? To summarize, do efficient T-spins for the first 5 lines. Then stall for at least 15 seconds per question mark block until the Mindbender multiplier reaches 10. Afterwards, return to normal playing speed and play freestyle to reduce the severity of the question mark block's effects. Most importantly, minimize the line clears needed to clear a question mark block when your Mindbender multiplier is under 10. Now, let's talk about E60. This was a limited edition game that was made to promote the Tetris movie on Apple TV+. The game was available to play from April 2023 to May 2025, though it can still be played on an archival site, which will be linked in the top right hand corner. Tetris E60 mixes both new and old elements of Tetris gameplay, the old being completely random Tetramino sequences, no hold, and Tetraminos locking into place after a fixed time frame when it drops onto a surface. The new being the modern scoring system, which is also in use for the normal and Mindbender modes. However, the rotation system here is more rigid, meaning some T-spins will be impossible to do in E60. The speed levels are also similar to the normal and Mindbender modes, meaning level 13 in E60 plays very similarly to level 29 plus in NES Tetris. Therefore, most top level E60 games end at level 13. The current world record for Tetris E60 stands at about 249,000 points, and is held by Goldenrod, who prefers to go by his other nickname, 598. Except for E60, 598 is currently the second highest scorer on every Tetris.com mode. He also used to hold the Mindbender world record, and has managed to secure second place in the most recent Tetris.com annual community tournament. So how did he achieve his E60 world record? Well, like any classic Tetris game, it's stacking to one side of the board, also known as 9-0 stacking. He still sneaks in a few T-spins here and there, usually by setting up line clearless T-spins like this, and temporarily blocking the empty column to set up a T-spin single or a T-spin double. This is called a donation. 598 then abandons his 9-0 stack in favor of an off-center well stack after entering level 5. Line clear and T-spin bonuses score more points by this point in the game, so making an off-center well stack allows for more possibilities of setting up T-spins. To play it safe, 598 also does the occasional non-T-spin line clear, while waiting for a T-Tetramino to do the T-spin if it doesn't come for a while, aka burning lines. This is very important because this game's Tetramino sequences are entirely random, and there's no telling when you'll get the piece you want, so it's important to keep the stack as low as possible as speed rapidly increases. Otherwise, you'll just end up making a wonky Tetramino mock-up of the Petronas Twin Towers, minus the sky bridge. By level 9, Tetraminos drop at 10 rows per second, meaning 598 will have very little time to move or rotate a Tetramino when it lands on a surface. If he wants any hope of getting T-spins from this point on, he'll need to rapidly spam press the key he set to rotate the T-Tetramino into the T-slot, or just time the rotation correctly. The higher speeds in these levels also means 598 will need to avoid placing his Tetraminos in the top half of the board for as long as possible. At level 10, 598 manages to keep his stack relatively low, with T-spins becoming less frequent. His last T-spin takes place right before level 12. After this, he just does whatever line clears he can before his doom at level 13, where his final score is about 249,000 points. You could theoretically get a somewhat similar score with just Tetris line clears, but it's definitely a plus if you can throw in some T-spins in the mix. To summarize, 598 strikes a good balance between T-spins, Tetris line clears, and burns. He also keeps the stack low and clean by burning a few lines here and there, while also accommodating for more T-spins by moving the well away from the edge of the board. Beyond level 9, 598 performs T-spins at high speeds by either spamming the rotation key or timing the rotation very precisely. Finally, let's check out the N-Blox world record. N-Blox also uses classic mechanics, though unlike E60, it has less modern mechanics such as no hold, no back-to-back bonuses, and the classic scoring system, where a single is worth 40 points, a double is 100 points, a triple is 300, and a Tetris line clear is 1200. N-Blox also uses an 8-bag to generate pieces. It works similarly to the 7-bag system, but with an extra 8th Tetramino in the bag, which is completely randomly generated. N-Blox is also endless, unlike all the previous game modes, but the level stops increasing at level 30, meaning a Tetris line clear is worth at most 36,000 points. Owing to the fact that normal and Mindbender modes stop after 300 lines from level 1, we'll only talk about the world record score achieved upon clearing 300 lines in N-Blox. We'll also use this benchmark as the maximum speed in this mode is only 10 rows per second, so pro players could play forever with little to no difficulty, and comparing scores without a line clear benchmark just makes the world record a competition of how long one desires to play, rather than skill, which just isn't fun. The N-Blox record belongs to Hepta, who has scored over 2 million points after clearing their 300th line. Hepta is an incredibly skilled classic Tetris player. They currently have the highest ELO rating for puzzles on Nessus.org, and won the most recent Classic Tetris World Championships for Game Boy tournament. There isn't a whole lot to explain about how Hepta got the N-Blox world record, other than getting as many Tetris line clears as possible. There are a few important things to mention, the first being this triple early in the game. This is important as it allows Hepta to maximize the amount of lines and points they can get before clearing their 300th line. This proves to be helpful as Hepta reaches 299 lines, allowing them to get one extra Tetris line clear backed with an extra 3,000 points from that triple in level 10. Aside from that triple, Hepta also manages to score only Tetris line clears in their world record run. Given the absence of a hold box, faster Tetramino lockdown time, and less forgiving piece generation, this is far more difficult to pull off than in normal mode. When Hepta has to wait for a rather long time to get the piece they need, they make these setups to accommodate other Tetraminos by tucking them in like this. Sometimes they're easy, other times they're difficult. These techniques allow Hepta to secure their world record score of over 2 million points at 300 lines. To summarize, Hepta goes for as many Tetris line clears as they can, while also burning some lines to get as much lines as possible before they clear their 300th. In case of shoddy RNG, Hepta also makes overhangs to tuck pieces in the stack to keep the amount of burns to a minimum. If you want to see more awesome Tetris gameplay from the people mentioned, you can find their YouTube channels in the description. And if you want to set a personal record of your own on this game and want tips, links to guides by Creative Name, Super Shocky, me, GRBT Ace, and Wang are also available in the description.